Liberals launching a coup at NBC News to kick Ronna McDaniel to the curb. In a tantrum expected in kindergarten, MSNBC hosts took turns with on-air outbursts over hiring one Republican.
You wouldn't hire a wise guy. You wouldn't hire a made man like a mobster to work at a DA's office.
I stopped inviting Trump liars like her on this program in 2016.
This is about truth versus lies, service to the country versus service to one man committed to toppling our democratic system.
We weren't asked our opinion of the hiring, but if we were, we would have strongly objected to it for several reasons.
We do hope that this decision will be reversed.
I think our bosses owe you an apology for putting you in this situation.
Just 2 days after her first and only interview, company executives reversed their decision to hire the former RNC chair and apologize to the company for the harm the decision caused, saying this: "No organization, particularly a newsroom, can succeed unless it is cohesive and aligned. Over the last few days, it has become clear that this appointment undermines that goal." And right on cue, the libs rejoiced.
When somebody does the right thing, I feel like it should be acknowledged as publicly as we acknowledged our outrage. And so I know how I feel about it. I am grateful to Caesar for actually making the right decision.
To see the essentially unanimous feeling among all the journalists in this building, then to see the executives and the leadership hear that and respond to it and be willing to change course based on it, based on their respect for us and hearing what we argued, I have deep respect for that.
These are the same hosts who fashioned themselves as the arbiters of truth, but had no issue pushing the Russia hoax.
If the worst is true, if the presidency is effectively a Russian op, we need to start preparing for what the consequences are going to be if it proves to be true.
There was collusion. There was an attempt at collusion. It's clearly out there. We already have the evidence, Mr. President.
The president is a Russian operative. It is real. And it is Vladimir Putin's greatest achievement.
Now NBC may have an even bigger problem on their hands as Ronna lawyers up. NBC News allegedly didn't contact McDaniel about the decision to axe her, and she only found out with the rest of the world through media reports. Greg, what is going on over there?
This is why people love mocking the media. It's because of their blind spots. And all of these people have this one giant blind spot about themselves. They're mean girls. That's all they are. They're mean girls who failed up. The joy and thrill over ejecting an outsider, it's no different than a group of cheerleaders, targeting some nerdy girl because she doesn't dress as well as they do. Spiritually, they're ugly, and they did this because she was different. It's a class thing, dressed up as a difference of opinion, but it's a class thing. You can see it. The children won. Think about why McDaniel was hired. The adults in the room knew that this insurrection thing was a puffed up lie. And so they wanted opinion different from the prevailing hysteria in their newsrooms. So they just basically wanted a different perspective. And the children threw a tantrum. They thought they were being Jerry Maguire, but they're more like Jerry Springer. It's like Lord of the Flies meets daytime TV. But I wouldn't be that cocky if I were Chuck or Joe or Mika or Joy, because look what happened to Don Lemon. After getting the boot from X, he did his own show and it flatlined. No one is watching him. So what does that tell you about him and other mediocrities like Chuck and so on, that they actually have no natural audience? You remove the NBC platform and they're gone. Rachel has a career outside, but the rest, they're as replaceable as contestants on The Bachelor. You can't even remember their names because they just serve a purpose. And again, it's another example of how rather than competing with any kind of, prevailing a different opinion or a perspective, whether it's in elections or speech or education, they have to throw the game board over, right? They don't want their lame assumptions challenged. The reason why The Five is number one is because we know that Jessica makes our arguments stronger because she challenged them. We're number one, but all those, they smell like number two because they can't handle competition.
Thank you, Jessica.
Oh, very good.
Thank you very much. Your name was invoked.
30
Please,
seconds to respond.
Floor is yours.
Yes.
This story is starting to feel really icky. Like, it started out as, I thought it was surmountable, and I expressed this when we talked about it on Monday, that I think it is important to deal with the fact that Ronna McDaniel is not your run-of-the-mill Republican. She obviously held an incredibly important job, and she was on the phone with Donald Trump calling those GOP officials in Michigan. But I thought that the appropriate resolution was to give her an opportunity to talk about that. And I think that that's something that the NBC executives could have said to the rank and file, that this is their decision. They made it to hire her. And now that they're kind of hiding behind, oh, we checked with people. Like, I don't know what the real story is there. But maybe Ronna has an explanation or something to share with people about the dynamic or information that she was seeing. I mean, she had a lot of access being the head of the RNC, right? And being close with the Trump campaign. And it's not as if they went out and hired like a Sidney Powell or someone like that. And she hasn't been indicted for this. And a lot of people have, right, that were in Trump world. But ultimately, the problem is that the audience doesn't want it. And these are businesses. And you have to think about that as well. So your hosts don't want it. And you have spent years talking about this particular day and the months leading up to it as being kind of a holy grail moment for representing what the MAGA movement is about and going about against free and fair elections. And so I think ultimately they ended up with the right decision for their business because their audience isn't going to stand for it. People will not watch that.
I don't know if that's true, because when I'm doing book signings, Judge, I hear from people, oh, and Jessica's on, I can't stand it. I changed the channel. No one changes the channel.
Yeah, clearly not.
It's the number one show, this show on television. It's not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People like the dynamic.
Well, and that's the whole point that Greg was making. Look, this show is number one on all news cable. Okay, it's because we have people like Jessica, we have people like Harold who have different opinions, and even Greg and I will disagree about things, you know, whether it's drugs, he's a libertarian, I'm a conservative. You know, people want to hear divergent points of view, and that's why they tune into this show. And the sad part about it is that MSNBC has an opportunity to bridge the divide, to try to bring the country closer, to use the long-tested way of testing for the truth, and that is cross-examination. That's how this country has determined what the truth is in jury trials for centuries. But they're not interested in that. They are authoritarian leftists. If you don't believe in their ideology, and if you dare to veer from that conga line, then you are not allowed. And there is no personal freedom. There is none of that. It's strict adherence to an ideology or you're out. And I think the sad part about it is you've got reporters who are out there trying to get information from Republicans who have a lot of contacts, who've worked for years and want to be credible by getting stories that are objective and get to the truth. MSNBC and NBC is like, no, you talk to Republicans? No, we're not interested. Honestly, what I think is those hosts should apologize to their viewers and say, we're sorry that we want to impose one ideology on all of you, and anyone who differs from us is a liar, when they are the ones who got involved in the Russia collusion delusion and, you know, with the Stacey Abrams and all that nonsense.
So NBC is going to go into this general election with zero representation or voice of a Trump Republican on their air.
I have lots of thoughts here, so bear with me. One of the things that Jessica said, that she's not your run-of-the-mill Republican. Like, I actually think there's, like, what does that even mean anymore, right? So it's been 8 years. President Trump is now clearly the leader of the party, and we're in the middle of a political realignment. So you can't, if they can't accept somebody like Ronna McDaniel, who is a reasonable person, you might disagree with her, but here's the thing. Not a single person there had enough guts to stand up and say, I think it's great. I'll have her on the show. Yep. And you know what? And cross-examine her. And I want to know, what did you mean by this? And how? And do that. Are they so afraid of eating alone at the lunch table that there's nobody there that has an individual thought? I found that kind of strange. Also, like, tune in tonight. They'll probably have the presidential historians on talking about how great it was that Abraham Lincoln had a team of rivals.
Yes.
Right? And they can't do that themselves. But this is a bigger story with the left, because I just want to remind people, they fired the editor of the New York Times opinion section because he dared to let Senator Tom Cotton have an op-ed in the New York Times opinion page. Remember when Politico, for one day, gave Ben Shapiro an opportunity to be the guy. There was mutiny at Politico. Kevin Williamson was hired by The Atlantic. He was fired by the end of the day. And what I wanted to get to is that that's all happening in the media, but where else do you see it? You see it in the White House and in the administration. Who's catering and cratering to the left and the squad right now? You just have to look on Israel, for example. EVs, climate, or the awfuls. That's exactly what's happening. What I think Greg has said before is what they should have done at NBC beforehand, which is they needed to all go and have drinks. Before any of this happened, Caesar could have had, like, come everybody, come to my office. I'm going to have a drink. I want to talk. And everybody have a drink and talk to her and get to know her a little bit rather than just throwing her out there and then all of a sudden having to pull it back and looking embarrassed and having to be sued.
Drinks really solve most of everything.
Drinks solve a lot of things.
We should drink more as a country.
Yes, or at least go out for like a little social moment. You could have a mocktail if you wanted.
The cafeteria table is the apt analogy. These were mean girls, and some of the people on the outside willing to hold the jackets for the fight. Like Jonathan Capehart goes on Twitter and he goes, well, she won't be on my show. And it's like, who are you?
Yeah,
who are
right,
you?
because they fired her.
He has a show.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, up next. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.